We just hit the new year, and there have been a number of online sales. A lot of places have been putting their entire inventory up for grabs at a nice little discount. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle through some of my recent vinyl finds and share them with you. Hey fellow music nerds, it is Andy with the FENSEPOST Vinyl channel. If you like this sort of content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, then ring that little bell, and you'll be notified about new videos when they go live. I'm going to kick it off with Pale Saints' 30th anniversary rendition of In Ribbons. In Ribbons is the sophomore album from the original shoegaze band Pale Saints. Their first one, The Comforts of Madness, is one that I just absolutely love, and it is one that I really didn't check out until the last 15 months. I've since become a diehard fan, something that you'll be able to hear me talk a little bit more about when you dig into my top vinyl spins of 2023. Like I said, this is the 30th anniversary pressing with an extra bonus disc of unreleased sessions, which is actually filled with demos. So what you get here is 2 LPs on they call it clear, but it's more like this milky, hazy, clear-ish vinyl. I just got done listening to it for the first time. I'm loving it. It's got the demos. There's the great artwork. This is a gatefold sleeve, and so already you get additional things with this particular pressing. Next up, Josie Records had their year-end sale. They had a few different sales. First was 20% off anything used. They also did 10% off new. Let's see what I picked up, because there was a lot of stuff from my want list that I snapped up that day. First up, Radiohead and King of Limbs. Now this one wasn't necessarily on my want list, but I'm a huge fan of Radiohead. It dates all the way back to the Bends, and probably pre the Bends to, Pablo Honey with Creep, though I think the Bends was the one that really first drew me in terms of the entire album. King of Limbs right here is the band's 2011 LP. Came kind of at the end of this period that they had before kind of taking a little bit of a break, and it was a bit different. There's not any of those like singular powerhouse tracks that you find on a lot of their other albums, the ones that kind of have a little bit more appeal commercially. This was as a whole kind of subtle and subdued, but as the guy over on Deep Cuts notes, if you look at his beginner's guide to Radiohead, he kind of calls out that it's one of those that with continued listens, you start picking up additional things. And I definitely think that is something true here. It's one of those I anticipate will continue to grow on me the more I listen to it. That said, I gotta say, one thing that I love perhaps more than anything is the album art. You've got the trees in the background. You've got these 2 almost alien ghost-like shapes that stand out. You've got this kind of cropped cut out of Radiohead, the King of Limbs. It's so cool. Probably one of my favorite album arts from Radiohead. Speaking of, it's the Bends. This has been on my want list forever in terms of vinyl. I used to have it on CD way back in the day, and like I said, this is the one that really drew me in. It's the one that really hooked me on the band. This is their second LP. It came out in 1995, and let's just take a quick look at the track list. I mean, Planet Telex, it kicks off really strong with Planet Telex, the Bends, High and Dry, Fake Plastic Trees. For such a nonsense-seeming song, it carries such raw emotion. And then you kind of continue going down the list. Just My Iron Lung, Black Star, and of course, one of my favorites back when I would actually play guitar. Anyone can play guitar, right? Street Spirit, Fade Out, which is just truly one of the most heartbreaking Radiohead songs out there. Just guts me every time I hear it. Gonna jump back to the used for a second, so I got a nice 20% off of this one. The Crane Wife by the Decemberists. This one came after Picaresque, and I believe it was 2006. So the Decemberists have always had these movement type songs. You get it with The Tane. You got it with, even on their earliest album, Youth and Beauty Brigade, California One. That song, 2 parts. The Tane had like 5 different movements over a 20-minute song. And here you get another one of those. So first you have The Crane Wife, which is the title of the album. It has 3 parts. You have 1 and 2, which actually opens up the 4th side of this LP. And then you have part 1, which I believe is on the opening track. And then you have the track that follows that, which is called The Island, which comes once again in 3 different movements. Come and See, The Landlord's Daughter, You'll Not Feel the Drowning. A phenomenal song. I love when they build these orchestral, theatrical movements within their music. Now, there's a specific reason I picked up this one. It is Antics by Interpol. There's not really anything special about this particular pressing. It's not on colored vinyl. It does have a printed inner sleeve, but there are no inserts. I anticipate probably sometime this year, 2024, we're going to get a reissue, maybe even a box set that has some supplemental material in it, because Interpol's Antics, this album right here, is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Big milestone there for this album. I dug into it as I started listening to Franz Ferdinand the other day as I'm pulling together some notes for one of my album history videos and my fun fact videos, so stay tuned for that. That's coming down here very, very soon. Franz Ferdinand was on tour with these guys kind of as a supporting act back in 2003, maybe even early 2004, as they were nearing the release or even just after their release of their debut self-titled album. And you can hear some parallels between the two as well if you really listen hard. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in that video, so stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Next up is The Fall and their EP, I guess, for the Peel Sessions. This has only 4 songs. It runs at 45 RPM. And the reason I got this one is because I'm a big fan of The Fall. You know, it's that kind of early post-punk. So this actually was recorded in 1978. So really kind of right in line with Live at the Witch Trials. And the only one I really recognize off of here from that is No Xmas for John Key. I'm not really a completist when it comes to The Fall, so I'm pretty sure the other ones that are featured here are either on that album or they came just after. You've got Put Away, Mess of My, and the final track, Like to Blow. But this is just very quintessential Peel sessions, you know, alternate versions that they played on the BBC, you know, John Peel. So I'm excited to dig into that one. I think this is actually the only one I have not yet listened to from this list. So there we go. If you are a fan of this channel and you dig into my videos on a weekly basis, actually twice a week, you might be familiar with these two. They were featured very recently on my best reissues of 2023. So this actually predates Christmas just a little bit. This one came in because of Mike over at Play Vinyl in the Milky Night, the Delgados, and their 2003 album, Hate. It's a great, great album. This comes on this really cool, kind of, they call it Curacao, something like that, blue vinyl, which looks really, really cool. The song Hate is really what got me into this band back in the day. Next up, also from that list, is Echoes by the Rapture. And I'm going to actually call this band out very briefly, not as an influence, but as just kind of what was going on in the post-punk scene around the releases of Franz Ferdinand by Franz Ferdinand and Antics by Interpol back in 2003, 2004, even back to 2002 with Interpol's Turn on the Bright Lights. This is such a good album. It's one that has been on my want list for many, many years, and this is the first time that DFA has reissued it. I'm not sure if it's a reissue or a repress. I believe it's got different matrix runout, so it's an actual 2023 pressing. Truly one of my favorite albums of 2003. I touched on this one recently as well. It is the box set for The Queen is Dead by the Smiths. Probably among my favorite, at least comprehensively, album by the Smiths. They don't have many, they only got like 4, but it is so good. And I did a nice deep dive into some of the history behind that and kind of a little narrative history behind some of the songs as well. So you can check that out here. I'll have a link down in the description for a number of the different videos that I've called out here. So there you have it, my kind of holiday haul, if you want to call it that. I'm super excited to see what 2024 has in store for us. It's going to be a fun year. I've got a lot of new things coming. I've got my new place in the works, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to document that and my move of about 25 to 2,800 pieces of music. I'm going to document setting up my record room, and I'm going to share my kind of unveiling of the new record room as well. So I'm going to take a look back at 2014, I'm going to take a look back at 2004, I'm even going to take a look back at 1994 and pull out my favorite albums from each of those years and do nice little countdowns. So stay tuned for all of those and let me know what you'd like to see next. Next, check out this video where I dig into some recent finds in another haul video right there. I'm Andy. This is the FENSEPOST Vinyl Channel. I'll see you in the next video.